All right. You just talked about something I want to touch on. You were talking about how frivolously in this community people throw around the word snitch. And
Mm-hmm.
are you familiar with BG? We know he just came home, and
Mm-hmm.
it's some people are referring to him as a snitch, and I just want to get your thoughts on this.
I heard that, like,
When he got locked up, go ahead.
I heard some things like I had made some jokes like when he first came home, but it had nothing to do with snitching or nothing. I just made a few BG jokes, like like how I do. I joke, I joke on all these niggas. But honestly, that snitch shit, I'm not like, bro. I like see me. I come from the time like in my era of coming up. If somebody called you a snitch, if somebody called you a snitch and they can't produce no kind of paperwork or nothing, they supposed to be, you supposed to get rid of them. They supposed to be out of here. Like, you know what I mean? And these dudes do that shit so much now on the internet. Oh, he's a snitch. Or just anything, oh yeah, he's a snitch. And they don't got no paperwork, no evidence to back up their statement, bro. And I've never been a fan of that shit. Like, I've never, like, you know what I mean? Like, because I know dudes that really got dealt with. Like, I know dudes that got dealt with. And I've been involved in certain situations. Like, niggas done got dealt with without no paperwork, bro. And that's like, that was some fucked up shit. But honestly, in this day and age, 2024, if you don't have no kind of evidence, no kind of hardcore evidence, or no kind of proof to corroborate you making snitch statement on niggas, bro, I feel like you need to be dealt with. Like, niggas need to, cause you really playing with niggas' lives. Like, you're playing with a nigga life, you playing with niggas' freedom. And I just feel like that shit getting threw around way too loosely on the internet, bro. And a lot of these dudes need to get dealt with, like, bro. Like, honestly, me personally, I don't even want to be involved in them conversations no more, like who's snitching and who. I don't give a fuck, because I'm not a criminal no more. I'm not a criminal. I'm not out here committing crimes and living that kind of life. So honestly, me personally, I don't give a fuck who a snitch, because I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not dealing with these niggas like that, especially if it ain't got nothing to do with me or my hood or my homeboys and shit. I really don't give a fuck. Like, cause I'm not dealing with these niggas anyway. And even if I was dealing with them, I'm not dealing with them on no criminal level. So you know what I mean? All that snitch shit is like, I'm just tired of hearing about that shit. Who's snitching and this rapper, like, who gives a fuck about? I don't like, bro. I don't know these niggas. I listen to their music and I care about that. Like, I don't give a fuck about who's snitching, bro. Like, all this shit, like, them niggas in their hood need to give a fuck. Like, the fans don't need to give a fuck about who's snitching, bro. Like, these fans, like, me as a fan, I don't give a fuck if Drake is a snitch. Like, oh, Drake snitched. No, I don't give a fuck, bro. I don't commit crimes with Drake. I don't sell Drake drugs and, like, you know what I mean? We don't have a criminal street relationship, nigga. I listen to Drake's music and he make dope music. So who gives a fuck if he snitched on somebody or not? Back in you know what I mean? Back in 2006, I don't give a fuck, bro. Like, niggas need to, like, bro, I think these niggas just lack content and they ain't got shit better to talk about. So they keep wanting to push this, oh, who's a snitch narrative? You jealous? Like, you basically, all you niggas is doing is jealous of your own people and really you see somebody doing good, so you trying to knock him off his track. Like, you know what I mean? Anybody you see, oh yeah, he doing good, he the shit. Oh, but I don't give a fuck who's a snitch. I don't give a fuck if that nigga's a snitch. I'm not a criminal. I don't deal with these niggas on criminal levels. I'm not interested in their criminal career. None of that shit. If I know this nigga, it's because I know him for his music. And that's what I know him for. That's all I give a fuck about. I don't give a fuck about this nigga criminal history. Or like, bro, fuck all that shit, bro. Niggas, like I say it all the time, bro. These niggas want to bring the streets to the industry and the industry to the streets, bro. The streets and your workplaces too. The streets and your place of business is two different things unless we involved in organized crime or criminal activity. Like, bro, other than that, I don't give a fuck about these niggas. Who's a snitch? And I like that clown 1090 Jake. I don't like that clown. Like, that nigga, they're like, you too upset. Why are you so obsessed with who's snitching? And why are you so obsessed with who's snitching that's black? Like, you ain't talking, like, bro, you a fucking white boy from Boston. Like, why you ain't talking about a fucking Boston full of fucking Scottish and Irish snitches? And why you ain't talking about none of that shit? Like, why I don't never hear you bring up Whitey Bulger? None of that shit. Like, you focused on the black men and the black niggas that snitching. Like, bro, it's a whole lot of fucking snitches out there. You ain't speaking on none of that shit. I just feel like we got other people against us and we got our own people against us, bro. And it's like already. And it's like, bro, fuck that snitch shit. I don't give a fuck about that shit. If we ain't involved in no criminal activities together, if we ain't doing no criminal business dealings together, I could care less about that shit. I don't give a fuck, bro. We're not hanging. We not personal friends.
Yo, interestingly enough, Vlad, he just sat down with 1090 Jake and he asked him a similar question about BG. And he was like, nah, I don't think BG snitched.
What's the backstory of the actual case? So it was a gun charge?
Right. So basically, they all get pulled over in the car. There's 3 of them in the car. And under BG's seat, they find a handgun. The guy in the back seat, I believe his name was Kentrell Washington, he tells the police it's mine. He claims it. Flat out claims it. They take him to the police station. He has an interview with the ATF. He names a female and said, this female drove me the gun from Texas to New Orleans. That's how I got the gun. The gun is mine. And basically, BG and the other guy, they say, yeah, it's his. He got it from the girl. This, that, and the third, whatever. Now, a couple months later, however much time had passed, BG caught a second case. And that second case, when BG bonded out of jail, one of his co-defendants and BG were making phone calls in which they were talking about having the other guy take the fall. They'll give him whatever they need to. They ended up bonding the guy out. The police were listening to the jail calls, so they understood that they formed a plan to have a man take the fall. That's why BG went to prison for that case. Going back to the first case.
Okay, hold on. So BG went to prison for witness tampering or what?
BG went to prison for, I believe, off the top of my head, it was the firearm and witness tampering. Because BG had a man sign an affidavit saying that the gun was his. The police figured it out. The charges stuck for BG. BG went to prison. But this isn't the case that he took the grand jury in. That case came before this.
Okay, the case of the guy taking the gun charge. And you're saying that BG attended the grand jury confirming that the gun belonged to this guy who took the charge?
Right. So essentially, BG had 2 cases, same story. They get pulled over, guns in the car. In both cases, BG had a fall man. Kentrell was the fall man in the first case. There was another fall man in the second case. The police figured out the second case. Oh, BG's trying to get this guy to take the rap. The guy signed the affidavit. We're not going for it. BG, you're going to prison. But the first case, BG and the other guy went to court and testified in front of a federal grand jury. And all he did was repeat everything that the fall guy told the police. Now, in my mind, if you got a fall guy, or if I have a fall guy, and he says, hey, I'm going to take all this, da-da-da-da-da, tell him it's mine, and the police say, yo, whose was it? He just told you. This was the plan. What ended up happening was the fall guy was under the impression he was only going to get a certain amount of time. When he found out he was getting more than that, he turned on everybody else.
And this is the dude who accuses everybody of snitching.
Yeah. But I mean, I can't say like but they said he snitched though. They're calling him a snitch. 1090J. They saying you snitched on some niggas in jail. So it's just like, bro, honestly, at the end of the day, I really don't give a fuck. Like me personally, I don't care about who snitch, cause I'm not dealing with these niggas. If a nigga ain't from my hood or personally snitching on me or my immediate circle, I don't give a fuck, bro. These niggas is rappers, and nigga, I only pay attention to them for their music. I don't give a fuck who they are personally, honestly. Like, that's just me, bro. I could care less about who's snitch. I don't give a fuck.